Good morning, YouTube. My name is Lama Jigme Gyatso. This is the Buddha Joy Meditation School. Welcome to the 21st through 33rd passages of the Tao Te Ching. Let us guide our energy in a therapeutic way by using various and sundry finger gestures. Let's begin by touching the tip of our left middle finger to its thumb. Tao Te Ching chapter 22. The sage keeps her mind always at one with the Tao. That is what gives her radiance. Harmonizing with centered spontaneity is not a chore. It's not an act of asceticism. It's actually the key to thriving according to every metric. The Tao is ungraspable, how could her mind be yet one with it? Because she does not cling to ideas. This is important. We're not trying to be mindless. We're not trying to be attached to ideas. The middle point between those two extremes is being aware of ideas, maybe even appreciating or being enthusiastic about some ideas, but recognizing that our perception of the universe is always changing, and our ability to flow with these new discoveries is directly proportional to our ability to let go of that which we think we know. The Tao is dark and unfathomable. How can it make her radiant? Because she lets it. Notice, she doesn't make it, she allows it. We're not talking about the yang linear energy. We're talking about the yin circuitous yielding energy. That is a common theme of the Tao Te Ching. Since before time and space were the Tao is, let's try this again. Since before time and space were the Tao is, it is beyond is and is not. How do I know this is so? I look inside myself and see. That which is optimal exists whether or not we understand it or agree with it or like it. And so as we go through life, as we're faced with decisions, it's best to ask what could be best rather than what do I prefer. What would be even better than that is not to have to choose, but to simply flow from a state of centered spontaneity that I like to call, or that perhaps Lao Tzu like to call, simplicity. Let's shift our finger positions now. Let's touch each index finger to its thumb. Tao Te Ching chapter 22. If you want to become whole, let yourself be partial. If you want to become straight, let yourself be crooked. If you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you want to be reborn, let yourself die. If you want to be given everything, give everything up. Yes, some people are able to manifest what they want when they want it. Most manifest what they want eventually. Sadly, after making things happen, they often conclude that it wasn't as good as they hoped it was, or it wasn't nearly worth the expense, personal, relational, the expense to the person, the expense to the relationships, the expense to the life. In the long term, it is much better to dance with the universe than to metaphorically grab it by its lapels and shake it back and forth. like a French au pair. I'm sorry, a British au pair. Let's continue. The sage, by residing in that house, sets an example for all beings. Because he does not display himself, people can see his light. Because he has nothing to prove, people can trust his words. Despite how clever you and I may think we are, people can always sniff out our agenda. And even if we want what's best for everyone, our agenda, their perception of it, can be the undoing of our noble aspirations. It's far better not to be, not for our motivation, not to be extrinsic or intrinsic, but atrinsic. What does that mean? Rather than being motivated by outside goals or internal pleasure or pain, it's best to have no motivation, simply flow from a state of centered spontaneity. Because he does not know who he is, people recognize themselves in him. Because he has no goal in mind, everything he does succeeds. Now, this can be viewed cynically as saying, well, of course he doesn't fail to meet his goals if he has no goals. However, in a larger sense, we could say that it's written that the three treasures of Lao Tzu are patience, compassion, and simplicity. So, if we compassionately long for the well-being of all beings, without letting that desire warp us and twist us and transform us from Schmeagol into Gollum, if we can maintain a place of centered spontaneity, compassion's aspirations could be fulfilled. When the ancient sages said, if you want to be given everything, give everything up, they were not using empty phrases. Only in being lived by the Tao can you truly be yourself. This is huge. That's why it's bold. That's why it's highlighted. If we have the humility, if we have the courage to allow ourselves to be the marionette of the universe, then it will increase the propensity of us having a truly fulfilling life and a beneficial life, not just for ourselves, but for all beings everywhere. If not directly, then at least indirectly. Let's shift our finger positions. Please touch the tip of your right ring finger to its thumb. With your left hand, make a flipper. Tao Te Ching Chapter 23. Express yourself completely, then keep quiet. Be like the forces of nature. When it blows, there is only wind. When it rains, there is only rain. When the clouds pass, the sun shines through. Nature, let's speak anthropomorphically. Nature doesn't make excuses. It doesn't justify or excuse anything it does. It just does. It can be said to act spontaneously. Same thing for us. If you open yourself to the Tao, you are at one with the Tao. and you can embody it completely. If you open yourself to insight, you are at one with insight, and you can use it completely. If you open yourself to loss, you are at one with loss, and you can accept it completely. Brace yourself for a cliche. If you've ever into each life, some rain must fall. We are all acquainted with the notion of not getting what we want when we want it for as long as we want it. We're all familiar with the concept of enduring that which we do not wish to endure. So we know what satisfaction is. We know what we know what dissatisfaction is. We know what disappointment is. We know what frustration is. We know what loss is. One of the greatest things we can do to multiply our sufferings is to ignore or deny the negative feelings or the painful feelings we're experiencing, or by indulging them. Between those two extremes is a place of acknowledging our circumstance, acknowledging what we feel, and letting go through the simple act of relaxing. We can coordinate our noticing, our vulnerable noticing, with our in-breath. We can coordinate our letting go with the relaxation we practice in harmony with our out-breath. Open yourself to that out and trust your natural responses, and everything will fall into place. Please touch the tip of your left little finger to its thumb. With your right hand, make a flipper. You know, like a seal or a dolphin or a whale. Tao Te Ching chapter 24. He who stands on tiptoe does not stand firm. He who rushes ahead does not go far. He who tries to shine dims his own light. He who defines himself cannot know who he really is. He who has power over others cannot empower himself. He who clings to his work will create nothing that endures. What a very dark collection of paradoxes. The author has shared these with us to remind us that, metaphorically speaking, the key that unlocks the door to our greatest happiness, peace, and fulfillment is the simplicity of centered spontaneity. If you want to accord with the Tao that just do your job, then let go. Please touch each middle finger to its thumb. Tao Te Ching chapter 25. There was something formless and perfect before the universe was born. It is serene, empty, solitary, unchanging, infinite. Eternally present, it is the mother of the universe. For lack of a better name, we call it the Tao. The Tao could be thought of not as an entity, but simply a process of practicing the patience of simplicity that allows us to be a servant of compassion. It flows through all things inside and outside and returns to the origin of all things. The Tao is great, the universe is great. Earth is great, man is great, these are the four great powers. Man follows the earth follows the universe. The universe follows the Tao follows only itself. Please touch the tip of your right index finger to its thumb. Tao Te Ching chapter 26. The heavy is the root of the light. The unmoved is the source of all movement. Thus the sage travels all day without leaving home. However splendid the view, she stays serenely in herself. Why should the lord of the country flit about like a fool? If you let yourself be blown to and fro, you lose touch with your roots. If you let restlessness move you, you lose touch with who you are. Well then, who we are can be determined by restlessness or simplicity. Imagine a spectrum. On one end you have contrivance, on the other hand you have chaos. In the center you have the simplicity of centered spontaneity. When your mindfulness shows you restfulness, do not view that, restlessness. Do not view that restlessness as an enemy, an opportunity. What if that restlessness was your mind's playful nature? Just put it to work. You can put it to work asking rhetorical questions or doing counting exercises. And then when it grows weary, and it will, returns to its peaceful state, you can go back to the practice of relaxing to the nature of mind. Please touch the tip of your left ring finger to its thumb. Tao Te Ching chapter 27. A good traveler has no fixed plans and is not intent upon arriving. Enjoy the ride. A good artist lets his intuition lead him wherever it wants. Those who are considered great, the Picassos, the Jackson Pollocks, allow their intuition to move them beyond their comfort zone, beyond those who went before them. A good scientist has freed himself of concepts and keeps his mind open to what is. In an absence of intellectual integrity, we work backwards from conclusion and then look for facts to support it. However, with integrity, we let the facts lead us. Without preconception, without agenda. Behold the splendor of intellectual integrity. Thus the sage is available to all people and does not reject anyone. He is ready to use all situations and does not waste anything. This is called embodying the light. How? How do we use all situations? By not only learning how to center and flow, but by making it a habit, one which we can perform spontaneously, habitually, easily, and consequently, effectively. What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? If you do not understand this, you will get lost. However intelligent you are, it is the great secret. What if we had no enemies? Merely people who required our help. Maybe our help could be overt, maybe it could be subtle. But as long as it comes from a place of simplicity, we are in harmony with the Tao. Please touch the tip of each little finger to its thumb. Tao Te Ching chapter 28. Know the male, yet keep to the female, receive the world in your arms. If you receive the world, the Tao will never leave you, and you will be like a little child. Children are known for their spontaneity. Know the white, yet keep to the black. Be a pattern for the world. Culturally speaking, in ancient China, white was considered young, hard, linear, advancing. Black was considered yin, soft, yielding, circuitous. White was considered male, black was considered female. So although we're not to be ignorant of our potentialities, we're supposed to be aware of the entire spectrum of human emotions that lie within us. We choose to embrace the yin flow. If you are a pattern for the world, the Tao will be strong inside you, and there will be nothing you cannot do. Know the personal, yet keep to the impersonal. Accept the world as it is. If you accept the world, the Tao will be luminous inside you, and you will return to your primal self. Being at war with yourself, being at war with the world is a recipe for misery, and perhaps can even turn us into a monster of sorts, metaphorically speaking. The reverse can undo all that. Being in harmony with the world outside, being in harmony with the world inside, can make us what some would call a sage. The world is formed from the zodiac utensils from a block of wood. The master knows the utensils, it keeps to the block, thus she can use all things. Although we do not give ourselves a home lobotomy, although we are aware that different people and different circumstances can be used for different ways to profit ourselves or others, even though we are not ignorant of that, we choose not to be controlled by that. We choose to abandon agenda. We choose to be the opposite of manipulative. Please touch the tip of your right middle finger to its thumb. Tao Te Ching chapter 29. Do you want to improve the world? I do not think it can be done. The world is sacred, it cannot be improved. If you tamper with it, you will ruin it. So in this case, we're not talking about reversing ecological disaster. We're talking about not creating ecological disaster in our hubris, in our greed. If you treat it like an object, you will lose it. There is a time for being ahead, a time for being behind, a time for being in motion, a time for being at rest, a time for being vigorous, a time for being exhausted, a time for being safe, a time for being in danger. The sage sees things as they are without trying to control them. Come, let us not be bound hand and foot in the steel chain of should. Or as one of my students used to say, let us not should all over ourselves. Letting moisture recapture the momentum. The sage sees things as they are without trying to control them. She lets them go their own way and resides at the center of the circle. From a place of centered spontaneity, we can practice the patience, the courage of letting things go. Last year there was an election. I was quite distressed at the results. A very wise woman said, maybe this is a good thing. Maybe these results will create a domino series that create such outrage that it becomes an awakening in the country. And her wisdom rescued me from falling into the reactive trap of aggression. Aggression with a noble purpose, but still aggression. Please touch the tip of your left index finger to its thumb. And of course, please chant with me. Tao Te Ching chapter 30. Whoever relies on the Tao in governing men does not try to force issues or defeat enemies by force of arms. For every force there is a counter force. Violence, even well-intentioned, always rebounds upon oneself. I was once taught one never has the right to be wrong. The sage does his job, then stops. He understands that the universe is forever out of control, and that trying to dominate events goes against the current of the Tao. Because he believes in himself, he does not try to convince others. Because he is content within himself, he does not need the approval of others. This is tough. Our society, the advertisers on Madison Avenue, tell us we need the approval of others. Therefore, be discontent with what you have and go buy something. Lao Tzu was teaching us the opposite. Because he accepts himself, he is accepted by the whole world. Please touch the tip of each ring finger to its thumb. Tao Te Ching chapter 31. Weapons are the tools of violence, all decent men detest them. Weapons are the tools of fear, a decent man will avoid them. except in the direst necessity, and if compelled will use them. Only with the utmost restraint peace is his highest value. Throughout the ages, many men and women, when forced to physically defend themselves, resort to panic and rage. I think it was Yoda who said, and I paraphrase, quick to join you in combat, fear and hate are. The path to the dark side they lead. So, if we act from a place of centered spontaneity, the greatest good could be accomplished. If we act from a place of chaos or contrivance, not so much with the good. Continuing with the idea of the need for centered spontaneity of simplicity, we read, if the peace has been shattered, how can he be content? His enemies are not demons, but human beings like himself. He does not wish them personal harm, nor does he rejoice in victory. How could he rejoice in victory and delight in the slaughter of others? He does not delight in the misfortune or defeat of others in any way, shape, or form. Wouldn't it be great if we could shift from the competitive paradigm to the cooperative one? Wouldn't it be great instead of competing against an opponent in a game, we could compete with them against circumstance? We make the shift from competition to cooperation in every area of our life, both as individuals and society. Then the survival of our species is guaranteed. He enters a battle gravely with sorrow, and with a great compassion, as if he were attending a funeral. How do you know you're acting from centered spontaneity? Centered spontaneity is patient and compassionate. If you're finding yourself driven by an absence of patience or an absence of compassion, by fear or rage or terror, then you are not in the place of centered spontaneity. Please touch the tip of the right little finger to its thumb. Tao Te Ching chapter 32. The Tao cannot be perceived smaller than an electron. It contains uncountable galaxies. What a fun paradox. Cannot smallness be associated with subtlety? And cannot vastness be associated with the profundity of its effects? Decades ago, the phrase quantum shift was coined to describe a subtle change with huge ramifications. Perhaps that is what we are discussing right here. If powerful men and women could remain centered in the Tao, all things would be in harmony. The world would become a paradise. All people would be at peace, and the law would be written in their hearts. When you have names and forms, know that they are provisional. When you have institutions, know where their function should end. Knowing when to stop, you can avoid any danger. All things end in the Tao as rivers flow to the sea. Whatever goes up comes down. Whatever is born will die. In the decomposition of our corpse, we see a surrender, albeit physical and not conscious. If we could start the process of surrender while we are still alive, then our harmony with the Tao will be even more profound. Please touch the tip, once again, of your left middle finger to its thumb. Tao Te Ching chapter 33. Knowing others is intelligence, knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength, mastering yourself is true power. If you realize that you have enough, you are truly rich. If you stay in the center and embrace death, with your whole heart you will endure forever. This is the second time in this session that we've come across the phrase, staying in the center. What if we could make that a habit? What if that is how we could walk through life? Enduring forever here, does it mean, is it literal or is it metaphoric? In a different passage within this text, we're taught that rather than associate ourselves with a part of our body or merely our nuclear family, by associating ourselves with all the beings of all the worlds of the entire universe, then in a sense, even though our body will pass, that which we highly value the most will remain. Let us continue. And that brings us to the end of this video session. May you and yours be healthy and happy. May switch there we go. You're welcome to participate in the next series of live weekly webinars. Use the buddhajoy.org link below and you can register. Good day. First, I'll say goodbye to YouTube. Goodbye, YouTube.